Welcome back to Better Advertising with BTR Media. Today we have another BTR Media employee on the podcast, Ashlee Earl. I am so incredibly excited to have you on the podcast. Ashlee, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Such a pleasure, first of all, to be here, but also to join you on the podcast today.
If you all do not know Ashlee, then you are missing out. One, follow her on LinkedIn, say hi to her at events because you're typically at the events. I've seen you at quite a few. We've always ran into each other. You're well known in the space. You've built quite the legacy.
Well, thank you for saying that. I feel like definitely feeling like a veteran, which is kind of crazy. I've been around. But yes, please reach out. I'm so excited to just meet more and more people in this space as the industry is growing. We are making a real, place here in the e-com retail media space that really wasn't a career so many years ago. And so it's fun to see so many new faces and new people enter this space.
It is. And I want to talk a little bit about how you got started in the space. Can you give us a quick rundown of, first job in e-commerce and why you decided to stay?
Yes. So I took the classic route of YouTube University. I was trying to figure out who and what I wanted to be pretty close after graduating high school and saw this whole eruption around earning money online. And so I started going down these YouTube videos and Jungle Scout, some other partners, Helium 10, were starting to put out these videos about selling and launching products online. And I was like, okay, I want to jump in and figure this out. So I launched my own products years and years ago, found kind of a keyword that was trending up in the bachelorette space, designed my own products, found manufacturers, and ended up selling them for a while on Amazon. Essentially broke even and then was like, oh, I don't know if I actually want to sell bachelorette products on Amazon. But it taught me a lot and really especially a lot about what not to do when selling on Amazon, which, those of you that are in the space know how important it is to test and learn. That's what we're doing every single day. We're questioning things, we're trying new things, and that develops what we want to do in the space as we move forward. So ended up moving over and doing some consulting work at a small agency first off the bat. We were doing A to Z, handling listings, advertising, and this was pretty early days where advertising wasn't very robust, and there weren't a lot of strategies that were out there. So it was pretty much like find some keywords, throw it up, and that's
see what happens.
What you were doing. Yeah, you were just spending money, and it was very much a new avenue for brands to test and try out. So spent a little bit of time there, which then led me to the brand side. Ended up joining a brand out here in Washington. Pluggable was on the brand side for a few years. Was their first dedicated e-commerce hire. Again, wasn't really a specific role or education path went down, kind of fell into it, and ended up building their e-commerce team.
I think there was a little... I think we're just short of an overlap. I believe that when Taylor first started BTR AMS, he was managing Pluggable's AMS ads.
Yes, I think you're right.
I think so. I don't know the exact timeline, the exact details, but I knew the Bernie relationship, and it's funny to see that crossover and just, again, how long we've been in this space.
Yeah, I feel so blessed. I mean, Bernie was definitely an industry, at the forefront in the industry and what he's built. And so it was incredible to be able to shadow under him for so many years. And like you're saying, so many people I know have branched out from Pluggable, and, credible area to just learn, test, and grow in a very competitive space as well. Electronics is very competitive. And then spent some time at a pet food brand, and then eventually on the software side. So was at the software side before joining BTR Media, and really developing our CS team, was I think our second CS hire. And really the role was focused on translating those metrics and the way that we talk about it and the strategies that we talk about to agencies and brands. And a big part of that was, of course, sponsored ads and DSP, but also AMC, which was this very new thing that was starting to get talked about in the space. So kind of sat in a few different seats and happy to still be, keeping things fresh. I feel like I'm learning every day. So yeah.
You mean when I send you a message first thing this morning, I'm like, can you hop on? I need to better understand this omni-channel metrics report. Like, let's dive in.
Yes. No, I love it. That's exactly it.
I love it. And I think that there's a few things I just want to call out that I don't know if you've ever reflected on your story, but I've done a lot of these podcasts. We've grown a decent team at this point, and the self-starter and the ownership mentality that I'm going to go watch some YouTube videos, figure out how to do this. And even if it doesn't work out exactly as planned, it's you learned a ton. And I think that is absolutely exceptional. And it's really cool to see you in this position of being able to storytell and bring that passion to the table for other brands. And you know so much about it because you've worked every side of the system, brand side, agency side. You were a seller. Like how much more hands on keyboard can you get than that?
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And I appreciate you reflecting on that because sometimes you do forget. And I think what's led me to be where I am today is keeping that curiosity alive. And like you were saying, just testing and learning, we have to in this space. Things are changing all of the time. The same playbook that worked 6 months ago sometimes is shifting a little bit today. There's still core things that remain the same, but shifting and learning is a constant.
It is. I remember the unboxed announcement where they officially announced AMC. And I'm pretty sure I called Jeff Cohen within 12 hours and was like, this is the most disruptive thing to happen to Amazon sponsored ads since I've been in the industry. And I had a bunch of questions for him that, Amazon didn't even have an answer to at that point in time. It was very much a figure it out and learn mentality, which you have to have in our space. You have to have a balance of building systems for consistent delivery, which I love because you have worked on that CS side of building a CS team and make sure you're driving consistency, but also the passion to log into ad console every single day and say, what's new, what's going on, how do I adjust my systems to drive success? And it's not easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so true. And I think you're right, man, reflecting back on that AMC announcement and some of the things that it shook up in the industry. And I think still is shaking up. Like it still feels so new when I forget, because we talk about it quite a bit, that not all partners and brands have AMC a part of their conversations. And so it is still a pretty new and somewhat daunting thing to get into, but certainly is shaping a lot of, like you were just mentioning, the way that we're talking about things, the behaviors that our customers are having. And honestly, I feel lucky to be in the e-commerce retail media space because we have access to this kind of data. We're lucky that we can do so much test and learn and try as we go that other industries and just even the marketing space don't have that direct feedback loop that we have.
How do you keep up with the noise in this space? This is something that I see frequently, a lot of shiny objects. We're seeing it right now with AI implementation and all of the buzzwords around that. How do you filter through the noise when a brand's coming to you with ideas, when you're seeing ideas on social media? How do you decide, this is one that is worth testing?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to go back to the 80-20 principle where, you've got to be focused on your 80% of your revenue drivers, which is often 20% of the ASINs or products or things that you're doing, campaigns even. Making sure that those are delivering and in a good spot is the first thing to focus on. And if those aren't where they should be, then I shouldn't even be questioning anything new that's happening. So once I've got a balance and an understanding of what's going on in an account, then, shiny object syndrome is very real in this space. And sometimes you can hit and win early on. If you get in early and try something out and you win, or it's really discounted to try a new placement or a new beta or something, sometimes you can be really rewarded in this space. But if you don't have that 80-20 in balance and you're doing that first, then it's not worth it. You got to get the foundation set. And I love that about the Better Media strategy. Something that I was really impressed upon, even before I worked here, was how you guys talk about the foundational setup and how that's really the core thing that allows you to then test, learn, and maybe pay a little bit of attention sometimes to shiny objects, but also keep that in check, that the rest of the account is healthy and moving in the right direction. I think, there's so much that you can get distracted by that you have to be cautious that you keep that in check with everything else going on the account.
I completely agree. I think that I think that we built a reputation at Better Media of being first movers. And that's because of the LinkedIn presence, the stage presence, the education, the content. The part we don't talk about enough is still, like you said, the basics and the fundamentals. We built all of our technology to focus on cleaning up an account, structuring the campaigns appropriately, good nomenclature, good modifiers, bid ops, but that's not fun to talk about. So I don't talk about it. But in reality, to your point, when we're looking at 80-20, it's a lot of the time is built on the foundation and making sure that we're in a really strong spot, which I think frees up more of our time to focus on hitting those wins. Because to your point, in e-commerce, first mover, especially in a competitive landscape of PPC and view CPMs, can make a big difference when you get to test something new.
Yeah, I agree. And I think having that perspective of things are always a test and learn is key when Amazon's launching something new. But I also like to reflect on, with shiny object syndrome of how often, I mean, we're in marketing, so I know we're doing this, but how often you go to the grocery store and like everywhere now is saying protein on their packaging. And sometimes it's like, did this mac and cheese have Did this mac and cheese have protein powder or protein before? They're just calling it out a little bit differently. I think we're seeing that with AI, that it's getting tagged on to everything just because everybody thinks they need to say AI or AMC or what have you, or ROAS of X. But it's important to remind yourself, like, am I being marketed to, or is this actually, foundational or something that I can slowly test and learn and go from there versus like I'm getting sold something that's maybe just has the buzzwords in it.
Yeah. And I would say one of the best ways to hedge against that risk is taking the time to do your own due diligence. And I say that because I went through this period right after AMC was announced where I just wasn't quite conceptualizing how it was going to be applied at scale. Mm-hmm. And Alex can attest to this. Again, it was winter, and we all know I do not handle winters well, but this was before I moved to Florida. I had an iPad and I took every single AMC accreditation and I was running on a treadmill watching all of the videos. I have never ran so much in my life, but I needed something to make the videos less boring. I deep dove like every partner who ever did a video on clean rooms. I learned as much as possible about it. So that way I could then go filter through the noise. Mm-hmm. Seeing the same thing with AI, you need to have some baseline understanding of the product or what you're trying to accomplish. So that way you can then go filter, am I being marketed to, or can I look at the ingredient label myself and clearly say, this is a marketing tactic and not great for me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Wow. Okay. Inspiring too on the treadmill with the learning. I got to take that one to the next thing.
I don't think I've done it since, but one of my claim to fames was I was taking one of the accreditations and I was walking in a circle in my apartment and I broke a mile walked in my living room solely while taking the test. So it's a little bit of a life hack.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Well, it's incredible too, to your point. When AMC was first launched though, there was really not much information out. And you're definitely shaking your head on that. There was not much information and it was kind of poor in terms of context and content and application. And I do feel lucky. The software company that I was at was really at the forefront of helping to educate and had a lot of the instances connected to them. And so I think what I would just share. I think it's still a very real problem today with people that are trying to connect to AMC and do those storytelling and understand their customers' behaviors, is to do exactly what you did: set some time apart and like actually dive into it versus leaving it on the side as like, oh, a measurement tool I'll get to at some point, because it is now becoming even more important and foundational. We're kind of out of the testing zone now. It is something that you've got to have in your conversations and your media mix that you're talking through.
Which is something to be said. It's an interesting dynamic. Our industry moves really quick in the circles that we're in, right? We are first movers, a part of every single release. But then I will hop on a webinar and I will ask people who all's activating on AMC, and maybe less than half. And I think that's a balance that we always have to keep in mind as we're working with brands and when we're going to market with communication. Is one, like, the education has to be there. People have to have buy-in and trust in who they're following and who they're working with to make sure they're not being marketed to.
Yeah.
But also, our job as account directors or as an agency or software providers is to help brands overcome that education hurdle and connect the dots on why something is needed. Yeah. A lot of the retailers have incentives that are based solely on percentage of spend. But in order to get true adoption, I think you need trust. And in order to get trust, you have to have a track record of excellence, but also be able to educate a brand. And that's something that we've always, I would say, strive to have at BTR Media. What did I say? Something we've always driven as a core value is trust and transparency for our brands for that exact reason. Like, our job is to be the educators in order to help a brand understand if a decision's in their best interest.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's ties so nicely with AMC, because when you do see AMC as a really great marketing and reporting tool that can build more of your trust in what you're spending your dollars toward, and also what you can shift your dollars into that are seeing a better return from a full funnel perspective versus an isolation. Before, I know so many conversations I was having with brands, especially around upper funnel activation, was a loss of trust that they were seeing, and not an understanding of how it was all connecting together and the behaviors their customers were taking. And so I think AMC fits really nicely into, one, building that trust. But then I agree with you here at BTR Media, making sure that we're, advocating and telling that story in a clear way, that partners trust what we're doing behind the scenes for them to deliver on those results. So AMC definitely helps with that.
AMC checks a lot of the boxes. It's actionable. You can implement audiences immediately without ever spending a dime on DSP. It is an incredible reporting and analytics tool, which provides the trust and transparency, to your point. And I also think it just helps connect the dots across a lot of different disconnected APIs and data sources that we get from Amazon.
Definitely. I agree.
Well, we've done a decent deep dive on AMC. One last question. Is there anything that you're incredibly excited for in the next 12 months?
Ooh, anything that I'm incredibly excited for? Man, I mean, I'm always excited about launches that come out around Accelerate and Unbox. Yes. Does it hit the mark every time? I don't know. We'll see. I think that's always something, though, that I look forward to, is like, what is Amazon going to launch, or how are we shifting in those conversations? So now sitting here, in the summertime, I'm really looking forward to those announcements that they'll be launching. And so much has shifted and changed over the last few years. I think it's accelerating more and more than ever before. And so I think nothing specific, but just looking forward to those announcements. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I expect to see a lot on the measurement side. I mean, the long-term sales has been a big push from Amazon recently, and telling that story better. I expect some exciting announcements in the creator space. I think Amazon's trying to figure out the unlock for social commerce, so maybe some exciting partnerships, but no matter what, they're going to keep us on our toes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, I would love to see some more announcements in the creator space. I think that's such a great call. Yeah.
I would love for that. Creator Connections, I feel like is due for it.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining the podcast. I'm sure we'll have many more episodes where we deep dive on some of these specific topics. If you're listening in, give Ashlee a follow on LinkedIn, shoot her a message if you have any questions. And Ashlee, again, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, Destaney.